Why, hello there, everyone. My name is S Comic Maker, and today we're going to be testing out some markers and drawing some OCs. So let's do that thing. For real, let's go do that. Why are we waiting here? We could just get started, and then we could. I asked you all in my Discord server to send me your OCs with descriptions to match them, and boy did you guys deliver. I mean, look at all these wonderful submissions! Hey, that's actually pretty good. I know, right? I had such a great time just scrolling through all of them and reading them all. If you've been here long enough, you know that when I do this, it's because I've been sent some new markers to try out. So this time, I'll be testing out this 80 set of alcohol-based markers sent to me by Artbeak. They reached out asking if I would be interested in trying them out, and I just love testing out art supplies like this because it's a great way for me to get familiar with different marker types to recommend to all of you. So before we get started, let's take a look at the markers. The Artbeak markers come in this nifty little bag. The markers are split in these stands of 40 apiece, so you can choose to leave them in the bag for travel or take them out for easy coloring access on your desk. They come with two sides, like most alcohol markers do. One side has a fine tip and the other has a chisel tip nib. You guys know that I personally prefer brush type nibs for blending, so I wish these markers had that, but they're pretty standard for affordable sets, so not really a big issue. First and foremost, like always, I swatch my colors so that I can reference the chart when I'm looking for specific colors. A lot of times marker caps don't match the colors that come out of the markers, so it's good to do this with any marker set you have so that you know what colors you're actually going to get. The colors were nice and solid for these, and none of my markers were dried out or anything, although I did have one marker that was missing the branding on it. The color number was still on the cap though, so no big deal. I decided to try and organize them more to fit my preferences, and then I was ready to color. And what a long coloring time I was about to have. There were so many characters that I wanted to draw as many of them as I could. Initially I was just going to draw enough to fill a whole spread of my sketchbook, but I ended up doing 2 spreads instead for a total of 16 characters. It's been a while since I colored that much, but it was totally worth it. I chose your characters in the typical fashion that I normally do. I made a list of all the entries that followed the submission rules, then I used a random generator to select them, and I ended up with a fun variety of characters to draw. For the rest of this video, I'll basically be telling you about each of the characters as I color them in. You guys are incredibly creative, and I'm stoked to tell you all about each of them. If you're here to see my final thoughts on the markers themselves though, you can skip to this timestamp. But without further ado, let's get into some OCs. Rexy the Elf. Rexy is living in Elflandius, and she's an Earthianian elf, allowing her to heal others, and she has an incredible connection to nature. Earthianian elves are also known to have a green thumb, which obviously works incredibly well with being connected to nature. Rexy herself can be quiet and ditzy, and can tend to get hurt easily, although it's nothing major. She enjoys looking in gardens and loves flowers. Overall, she's happy to help out anybody in need. This character was just so sweet and cute. I loved her color palette and design so much. She was an absolute treat to start off with. Next is Mohan Jensen. He's a young cop who aspires to be one of the greatest. Of course, there's a lot of hurdles that he'll have to jump through to get there, but he's very determined. He's always been a fun-loving guy who doesn't come off as serious most of the time, at least. He respects his superiors and strives to always help out when he can. He loves get-togethers and remembers everyone's favorite coffee. While most don't take him seriously due to his age and easygoing attitude, he's smart and very perceptive. I really liked the purple and yellow color palette for this character. It was a little difficult to blend these colors with marker, but I don't think it turned out too bad. He definitely looks like a character that is really relied on in his department. I love it. Next up is Rice and Hollian, which I feel like is a little bit cheating because it's technically 2, but we're going to consider it 1. And they are father and son. Aw, look at babies. They love toasting marshmallows, and they also love playing with plastic swords together. Hollian is also a very skilled sword fighter, and he uses 2 giant swords as his weapons. Rice is incredibly inspired by his father Hollian, and he uses his own plastic sword to train, and they also both love animals. I love these guys. They remind me a bit of Hollow Knight, which is such a great game. I decided to draw them together, having a father-son moment in this little doodle. Rice is riding on Hollian's back, and maybe he said something clever, so you know he had to give his son a good old dad high five. Then we have have this super cool design. This character's name is Ozuru Enomoto. They're a skater and a social media personality who enjoys going to new places and seeing new people. They aren't really much of a talker and more of a listener, and they love listening to those with different interests than them. I just love the color palette and design of this OC. I got the impression that they're super chill since they tend to listen to people a lot, so I decided to draw them leaning to one side and lending their ear with a smile. You know, happy to give advice or just be there for someone. I really love the orange on this character too. Super cool. The next character we have is Celestia Undergrove, or Celeste for short. Her pronouns are she, her, and she's 30 in human years, and she's an adorable bi fairy wizard. When she was little on her birthday, her aunt, mom, and dad were kidnapped by pirates. She went decades without seeing her family and tried her best to survive without them. She's very intelligent, but once she's set on something, there's no stopping her whatsoever. One of her hobbies is astrology, so she decided to make it her area of study while she was in school. To this day, she dreams about the moon and stars. She's always been fascinated by it, and especially with there being 2 moons in her universe. Celeste's journey was fully set to find her family, no matter what the consequences are, so she travels searching for clues to find them. Poor little thing. At first I was like, oh, she's got such a cute character design, and then you find out this really sad backstory. Well, I hope she finds her family. Then we have this cutie patootie, Riverfluff. Riverfluff is one of the 4 main fusions from Pale Gale's story 2 Souls, 1 Mind. They are the smallest fusion, and their powers involve anything water-based. They're based off of a poodle moth, and because of this they're able to sneak into places because they can deflect and use sonar detections, just like how the poodle moth can deflect a bat's echolocation. I love the idea of a poodle moth character. This poor little guy looks so sad and timid, I just wanted to wrap him up and give him a big ol' hug. I also really like how his poofy little antenna matches his poofy cute hair as well. Also, yeah, I think I'm gonna steal that water can hat. Sorry, Pale, it's mine now. Then we have the lovely Ming. She's based off the creator of this character, Bubble Ming, and what they would look like when they're older. And this next part was written from the character's perspective. Hey, my name is Ming. I go to Sierra Fine Arts College. I majored in graphic design, but I do love illustrations as a freelance artist. I enjoy academia, prep clothes, and anime. I binge watch my shows on Wednesday that are from my watch list. I live in California and I'm 19 years old. I work on short films for some of my clients. I have a comic series that'll come out soon and would love to see it grow. I enjoy working with my friends, even if they see me as a workaholic. But anyways, would you like to get some boba with me this Friday? It's near the corner campus, Building D. We can talk more and we can show our drawings there. See ya! I love the fact that I got to learn more about her in a way where she was telling me herself. What a cute submission. I also really enjoyed drawing this one, and I like the fact that her reference sheet had different versions of her on it. What a fun character. Next, we have Nova, who's an unknown species as she was created in a lab that she escaped from at a young age. Where she's from, she's well known as a DJ, rapper, singer, and graffiti artist. She's usually found hanging out in empty alleyways, in her apartment, or in a club that she works at, or even just hanging out with her friends. She does smoke, but it doesn't affect her because she has no lungs, and her skin is actually her lungs. She has the ability to make her hair, eyes, mouth, and markings glow that can also change based on her mood. Nova is a very chill person that you can go to literally anything for, and although it takes a lot to get her upset, once she's angry, you don't want to be around. And lastly, she's also bisexual, although she doesn't really understand how love works. She just knows that she gets attracted to both men and women. I love character details that have to do with emotion, so it was neat to see how Nova can change colors based on her mood. I didn't have the perfect neon green for her, so coloring was a bit of a challenge, but I loved coloring her glowy markings the most. Such a fun and stylized character. This little nugget is Creepy Beepy. Not only is he an OC, he also happens to be the creator's online persona. He's a little alien from another world in the Milky Way galaxy. His species is at war with another alien species due to dwindling resources on their home planet, and he's come to Earth to seek out help in their war, either by getting more resources or more fighters to join their cause, although he hasn't really managed to do either yet. His hands are constricted to him by an unknown force, allowing free movement within a certain radius of him, and the species' leadership hierarchy is based on height, kind of like Invader Zim's Urkin Empire. His species reproduces by a special form of mitosis, though due to their sizes it's nearly impossible for an exact copy to be produced, allowing for diversity within the species. He can shapeshift, allowing him to blend into environments better, and to not freak out any humans by his form. Sometimes he uses this to play pranks on his friends by giving them a little spook, either by changing features of his body or face, or by changing into a completely different form. I could not believe that this little guy is a creature at war initially. He's just so cute and tiny. I mean, look at him. I drew him sitting and being a little guy while offering you a seat to sit next to him. I just love him. Mwah. Chef's kiss. Next up is Evie. She used to live a normal and happy life with her family until she was captured by scientists who wanted to use children as variables for their experiment in turning humans into mythical creature hybrids, which they call Project Rogue. Throughout the years of research in the lab, the scientists were injecting DNA of mythical creatures that they captured into Evie, who was initially a work-in-progress half-alicorn. Then, something occurred which made their whole lab and company fall apart, and their experiments were shut down, never to be completed, hence Evie's horse legs. Evie managed to escape the confinements of the lab and run away, soon discovering the hidden world where mythics live in Windover. Evie is a cheerful and optimistic kid who really acts her age and strives to protect and make sure everyone lives happily using what power she gained from the experiments. Living the best life that she can with her friends, she's determined to do whatever it takes to keep them safe, being the little kid hero that she is. She likes to explore different worlds and hidden areas in search of adventure and excitement. She'll be happy to befriend anybody that she meets and be the best person that she can be to everyone. I thought little Evie was so stinking cute. Despite everything that she's been through, she looks so cheerful, and based on her description, she has a good heart. I loved drawing her. Then we have the very spooky looking Corrupted Nightmare. The Corrupted Nightmare was originally a royal guard for the King of Nightmares. He was in charge of making new spells and leading the military. One day, he asked the king if he could approve a spell to make nightmares stronger. However, it was denied. Out of spite, he used it on himself, killing and corrupting him in the process. He spent centuries in the Shadow Realm, traveling between the Nightmare Realm and Human Realm. He eventually returned to the Nightmare Realm and attacked District 2 and the King's District. He made a deal with the king that if a nice person was born and denied to be king, he would be summoned. Years passed, and that ended up being Prince Jack Nightmare. The style of this character was so stinking cool, I really hope that I ended up doing them justice. You can tell just by looking at them that he's got a lot of story to tell. I had an absolute blast drawing him. Next is Dot Carpathia, who is a star and actress who thrives in the limelight and sinks in the dark. She's never been fond of social interaction and finds entertaining the audience is much more rewarding than forming bonds with them. Still, she yearned for more, a true friend, and one day her prayers were answered through letters sealed behind red stamped wax addressed to her to leave her fame behind and to begin a new life by competing in these life of death games. All of these promises were made by the Baron of the Elitist Manor, and she wondered, would she find a true friend there? Only time will tell. The only documented teammate that she ended up participating with was the veterinarian. The other diaries are blank and lost to time. No one knows if she made it out of this game alive or if she was just another doll collecting dust on the shelf. She is the creator's Identity V OC and is a support character at many different varying costs and abilities. Her masks represent her stage persona, the very persona she's always hid behind to survive. I love this design a lot, as well as the designs for all the different masks. I chose to draw her in the smiling mask because considering her backstory, the smile just seemed unsettling. What a great design. Up next is the Silver Bowman, the starfarer who travels across the sea of stars on an endless quest for adventure, charting out unexplored worlds and dimensions within his stellar sailboat, making his endeavors to meet new faces and potential friends. This character was really shrouded in mystery, but there was something about them that really drew me in. I love their glowing eyes, which I really tried my best to blend with the markers I had, but it honestly proved to be pretty difficult to do. I liked the bow that they were carrying a lot, so I decided to draw them mid-draw for this doodle. This character definitely makes me want to know more about them. The mystery, the appeal! Rimba is the protagonist of Sea Wolfie's comic Loser. She's a volunteer for a research organization on the decaying environment. She doesn't have a proper job where she gets paid, so she's living with her friend Polta. She's very focused on the environment and is quite concerned on what she's finding. She's been told to keep this information from the public as it might cause a panic, so she's slowly climbing up the ranks to talk to the higher-ups. This little tidbit I thought was very relatable. When she's sad, she soaks in the shower for about 2 hours on average. Relatable. She really feels bad about staying with Polta, so she works hard to keep the house tidy when she can. I think the leaf theme outfit really fits Rimba considering her goals. I was really intrigued by her story and hope that she succeeds in making an impact on the environment. I also really love the green and orange color palette for this one. I couldn't find or mix the right kind of skin tone for her with what I have, but I really hope that I did her justice. She's so cool. Then we have a Five Nights at Freddy's OC. This is Dance Trap, a troubled game developer who was working on a VR game for Fazbear Entertainment, when all of a sudden an entity from the game went into him. However, due to the agony existing inside of the dev, the entity manifested into its own symbiote-like creature. Now Dance Trap is struggling to keep his sanity while also making sure he doesn't hurt anyone who doesn't deserve it. I love seeing people create OCs for existing worlds. It's such a great way for them to feel more part of the world that they love. The drawing for this OC was also very cool. I loved all the effects, so I knew it would be a bit of a challenge replicating it traditionally. I think I did okay though. I drew the symbiote kind of squiggling around them. It was a lot of fun to draw. I would love to see Dance Trap in VR action. Lastly, we have Kami, a warrior of a sunset clan where the members are assigned to different colors of dusk. She's the oldest of her siblings at age 28 and 6'3" with a short fuse and no patience for fooling around and trusts no one outside of the family. Her and her sister Aurora are the higher ranking members of the clan, being put in that position since their parents had fallen in the heat of battle. She's most often found near the riverbank meditating or cleaning her sword inside the main house. I gotta say, Kami really gives off badass vibes. I liked her color palette and face markings a lot too. Drawing her was a really fun way to wrap up drawing everyone's OCs. I loved her. And there we have it, 16 incredible OCs. I really wish I could have drawn them all, but I might have ended up losing my mind in the process if I did that. Thank you all so much once again for submitting if you did. If you didn't get chosen, don't worry, I'll definitely do another video like this in the future since I've done these a couple times before. But if you can't wait until then, be sure to join my weekend live streams. I often do request streams where people can send in their OCs or drawing ideas and I draw them live right here on YouTube. Now, let's talk about the markers. As of recording this video, they are $26.99 with Amazon Prime shipping, making them about 33 cents per marker, which is pretty decent. A sweet deal, I might say. But let's get into the pros and cons. The pros. The color variety is pretty great. I was able to get some nice solid coloring with little to no streaks. In fact, with any kind of markers like this, I suggest you take it really slow, but also purposeful. The more consistent and slow you color in a section, the more solid the colors will be, and you won't have any overlapping colors and parts that are darker or lighter than others. Also, none of the markers I received were dried out, and they were very user-friendly. It has both a carrying case as well as a stand for the markers, so you can travel with them or display them on your desk, which I really liked. The cons. Not having a brush nib will always be a con for me. Brush nibs definitely make for easier blending, bending, and strokes. You can also get even finer detail than the fine tip nib with it. It won't stop you from coloring, but it was definitely a preference of mine. They are not refillable. This is pretty standard with most alcohol-based marker packs like this, so you'll find this across the board mostly, but it does stink when colors like tan, beige, and brown, which are used a lot for skin colors, will die out first, and you can't replace them without buying the entire set over again. But overall, they were pretty well-made markers that I had an enjoyable time using. If you're interested, I'll leave a link for them in the description of this video, as well as links to all the other traditional art supplies I used, including the Render sketchbook that I always use that has bleed-free paper in it. Ooh, fancy. All the Amazon links I use are affiliate links, so when you click the link and buy something from it, it can directly support the channel without any extra cost to you. So thank you if you do. But that's it for this one, guys. As always, videos like this are possible because of my amazing banana members and people like you who like, comment on, and share my videos. I appreciate you all stopping by, and I hope that we can draw together again soon. Bye, guys.